of Enugu State, the visitor.
For Comments and Industry and the Incumbent Chairman Board for Investment. God bless you, Dr. Barrister Sam Ogunwobodo. No, Nabi, you are welcome. All right, we equally acknowledge other dignitaries in the entourage of His Excellency. Why we wait for the
here. We want to welcome you to the Enugu State University of Science and Technology, where education occupies a pride of place. As you are aware, today have been marked as a lecture day. Lecture in the sense that we have a distinguished lecturer in our midst, His Excellency, the Consul General of the Republic of Germany. He's going to deliver a lecture that will positively impact on our daily livings in this country. As you're aware, the environment is an issue that comes up, and everybody is interested in the environment. Global transition, the environment will occupy a pride of place, and energy transmission will equally occupy a pride of place. We are worried in this country about the epileptic energy that we have, and I'm happy that the chairman of Enugu Electricity Transmission, Mr. Chijoke, is equally here. We expect that the lecture will be robust and will be an opportunity for us to improve linkages between the Nigerian government and the German government, and equally between the people of Enugu State. And we are hoping also that the university community will, in this engagement, constructive engagement that we're going to have, will benefit immensely from the lecture. We look forward to the lecture, and we hope it will be a beginning of further cooperation in all facets of community development and in every other area of human endeavor. Thank you very much.
This is the first time you are entering this university. You are most welcome. Let me stand by already established. That basic principle that there is technology in every course of study. Whether you are studying German language, there is technology. Anything you are trying to do, we don't want to divorce technology from the main content of what we are studying in tertiary institutions if you enter ESUT. That is why our primary goal is to begin to think out the way to deal with the problems of our society in impact factor localized thinking. And we pride ourselves to be a university that is already having series of centers of excellence, from engineering to computer science to all disciplines here. And our goal is to be most competitive in terms of research, in terms of teaching, in terms of dissemination of scholarship. We are happy to receive you, and incidentally, we are the heart of our examinations. As we are here now, exams are going on. We don't have any program that is disrupted. We are going to wind down 2023-2024 academic session next week. We are going to take the next 2 months to reassess and reappraise what we think we know in terms of staff training, security training, and all whatnot. And I've already made it clear that the opening ceremony we are going to request our own dear SSG to come and give us a talk, so that at least we begin to find out whether what we know is still worth knowing, or whether there is a need for us to shift ground. Recall recently we started having problem of electricity, water, all municipal services in ESUT. And we are not sleeping, because as an University of Science and Technology, we are equally trying to deal with these issues. But we are aware that the greatest challenge started coming from the students, their hostels. We are glad to inform His Excellency that the problem of water supply there had been solved. What we did was simply to, embark on this solar energy installation. The discussion with a patent holder already, Professor Machi, to see how we can explore the little water we have around there, dam it, and use it as source of supply of electricity. So we are trying our best. But we are hopeful that you are coming. We equally open vistas of opportunities for collaboration with your universities, so that we can start having student and staff exchanges, especially on issues of research, sharing notes, and trying to advance scholarship in various areas. We're equally trying to start by October certification programs by having ICT hub. The hub, we have already bought a structure here that we're going to use as takeoff for startup for ICT hub. Yesterday I had a meeting with the SPA on digital economy, and we agreed to meet next week. He will be here next week. We are in a hurry to change the narrative, and we are determined to change the narrative. His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Enugu State, charged us, and that concept of that disruptive innovation is not toying with it. So we must start doing things differently. We must start reappraising what we know. We must start keying into that program, because in the scripture they say, he who is not with us is against us. So if you have the 3 new programs we want to introduce, the visitation from NUC will be this month. That is public health. What he has lined up for us, for example, completion of a convocation arena, and equally roads that he said he's going to do. As he promised that, whether they are in budget or not in budget, he says budgetary. But as he's approaching some nagging issues, he tackles them urgently. What he approved yesterday was not in the budget, but because he has passion for education, by budgeting over 3% in this year's budget, he immediately said, I need these programs. They are critical for the development of our people, for the development of Nigeria, for inter-country cooperation. And when he approved it, the next thing was, he said, I hope you will get it. I said, if you now say you have approved and you have seen, I've unmapped the document, we don't have any other option than to get approval. And it might interest you to note that all the equipment needed in the accreditation of nursing sciences was approved and delivered by the government. So we are going to discuss with him very soon, just like I just tried to chip in something to our own dear brother and our own SSG. I said, I wish you are coming here today. Let's hope that maybe next time you come, we'll come to our own ultra-modern hall that we are trying to fix. We would love you and His Excellency to come and open that place. We are working on it. We are going to try our best. And the German Council, by the time you enter here again, each time you enter a suit, we can assure you, you will see something different in qualitative way. We are going to be changing. We are going to maintain the trust. And as we are here, please open vistas of opportunities for us to interface with you, so that we can have greater and deeper cooperation and partnership with your university. Since we have established trust, just trust us. If you don't trust us, trust our His Excellency, our governor. Anything we agree, we shall live to the terms of the agreement. But you are welcome again. Just know that before you go today, the interaction will equally equip you better as a technology-driven university and as a university that is now preparing to take the next step in certification. I recall when I defended something in the office of give you another added tax too. He said, we expect you to create more revenue and add additional 1 billion naira in what you already generated. That is the best way to go. We must be progressively improving our environment, exploring all sources of revenue, exploring commercialization. Just like we are trying to do a startup with this our hub, which will now make sure that the ones that are coming in October, by the time they will get to third year, they must have been certified in 2 things so that they will be self-sufficing. So that our entrepreneurship center will satisfy them at least in 1 thing. We must produce people that are employable. This must be a center where when you get to third year, people will be scrambling to get our students over and above any other students in tertiary institutions in Nigeria. I thank you so much for coming. God bless you.
Professor Aloysius Michaels Okorie, this is a Vice Chancellor who has greatly improved the image of the
Provost, College of Medicine, Professor Uchenna, the Chairman Enugu State of Investment, Dr. Sam Obu, Senior Special Advisor, His Excellency Onah, Honorable Dubem Onah, the Chairman Enugu State Regulatory Commission, Engineer Chidioke Okonkwo, Special Assistant on Revenue Generation and Monitoring, Honorable Sandra George, Deans of this great university here, Presidents of the Department, esteemed faculty members, invited guests, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I bring greetings from His Excellency Dr. Peter Ndubisi Simba on this opportunity that we have to share a bit of what Enugu State is doing in the areas of electricity, especially as it relates to our transition plan as a sub-national. It is a pleasure to have the Joint Chancellor here, who has become a very good friend the past 40 hours, beginning to share Enugu State growth with the German government and hoping that we'll have more bilateral conversations in the coming days. A well-known supporter of energy transition reform as you visit our state and our university here. We are incredibly honored to have you here, Your Excellency, to speak to our people, especially our students and our faculty members. Our state is firstly known as the Coal City, which played a pivotal role in powering our country through the During that time, our abundant coal reserves fueled industrial growth and provided much needed energy to households across Nigeria. We are proud of this legacy left in days, which is profoundly ingrained in the history and identity of our people. We acknowledge the world is changing and we must also adapt. The global shift towards cleaner, more sustainable sources of energy offers the opportunity to reinvent ourselves. Renewable energy, which supports the reduction of carbon emission. Our vast resource is a bridge between what we have now and where we need to go, which is a more sustainable energy for our state in the state. It gives us a chance to reduce the emission while meeting our energy needs and stimulating our economic growth through job creation and economic diversification. We understand that potential benefits for us are vast, so we have committed to shaping a future in which our state honors its rich energy history, but also pioneers new in clean and sustainable energy. This commitment is reflected in several initiatives that we are undertaking, each designed to contribute to a comprehensive and forward-looking energy transition strategy. First, the state will shortly launch a geo-mapping effort to evaluate the commercial potentials of its natural gas reserves. This data is critical because it will guide our strategic decisions on how to best use our natural gas and build our gas infrastructure. Two, to modernize our public transport system, we have ordered a fleet of CNG articulated buses to replace smaller, less efficient vehicles. Our climate and energy transition plan includes an upgrade most public buildings to solar-powered buildings. This effort also includes retrofitting the buildings to make them more energy efficient. This will reduce our electricity bills, but most importantly, by setting a good example, we hope to encourage more businesses and homes to use renewable energy. Finally, the state is not turning its back on its own heritage, but instead it is reimagining it. We are rehabilitating and converting abandoned coal mines into areas for rich vegetation and carbon sequestration. This program not only addresses the environmental impact of past mining activities, but also adds to our overall climate goals. Dear Excellency, Enugu State has a significant role to play in Nigeria's and indeed Africa's energy transition. However, we cannot attempt or complete this journey alone. That is why we are eager to pursue partnerships and collaborations with Germany, given our country's global leadership in renewable energy, energy efficiency, and technology innovations. We welcome partnerships with the German government, with the German institutions and businesses across the entire gas value chain. Working together, we can lean on Germany's expertise in energy technology, the efficiencies of the private sector, and our state's resources to build a model of sustainable energy development that benefits not only our state, but also helps global transition efforts. Your Excellency, we are deeply grateful for your presence today. We look forward to hearing your perspective and working closely with you to realize our shared vision of sustainable energy future. In closing, I want to commend the Vice Chancellor of this great university, because in my various engagements with this Vice Chancellor and his team, in my office, in my capacity as the Secretary to the State Government, I've been able to identify clearly that it is not just the title, but the passion that he and his team possess towards aligning with his excellent vision for the new Enugu State. I commend faculty members here that have supported your team. I know you for this university. What I want the team to take away is that if His Excellency is going to deliver 260 smart schools, and each smart school on delivery, on students moving in, would have been an investment close to ₦1 billion for each ward. The whole idea is to ensure that no student in Enugu State again that goes through the younger stages of education, early childhood to elementary, high school, will ever lack the capacity or the exposure to be able to engage meaningfully in a global work environment. His Excellency is determined not just to talk the talk, but to put the money where the talk is. And you must have seen us or seen in the news where we are constantly on this project, because what we want is not just a school where the old regurgitation model of learning is involved, but one where our kids are exposed to things like artificial intelligence, augmented reality, mechatronics, robotics at a very early age. And I'm talking about children that will normally not have had, and since all see technology tools in the first place today was have gotten to their early adult age. What we want to do in Enugu State is to prepare the students so when they come to you as a university, you're not struggling early age to provide basic skill set that can help them function well in a school that is known for science and technology. We want Enugu State University of Science and Technology to be a leader in Africa as it relates to innovation in science and technology. In closing, I gave your Vice Chancellor and his team a task. In doing our Year 2 strategic alignment, I have given them a task. Resources, revenue is just one of the 4 key areas. And one of them that I have to reiterate here is that what we expect of ESUT, is that at the end of the day, when we talk about centers of excellence as a university, that we have so many of them that have shown credibility globally to be able to, when your professors are put in impact level work, research programs, grants, just their names being on it will attract that resource back to Enugu State and to this university. That means is that you will continue to lead in decision-making processes in Nigeria, because sometimes academia forgets that we set the pace for what happens in the global space. But till we begin to do that, all we will be doing is following, and our students will not understand the role of leadership as it relates to being well-trained in whatever field we're in. This governor, Dr. Peter Ndubisimba, is dedicated to make sure that at the end of 7 years, anyone that came to ESUT at the beginning of his administration will not recognize ESUT again, both in quality and infrastructure. On that note, I say thank you all for listening, and God bless you, and God bless Enugu State. Thank you.
Keep clapping. The coming governor of Enugu State.
Weert Onah. He has been the Consul General, German Consulate, Lagos, Nigeria, from August 2022 till date. Born in 1963, he is married with 2 adult children. A gallant reserve officer of the German Federal Armed Forces, he studied geography and law in Tübingen and Bonn, Germany, between 1984 and 1989. Between 1990 and 1991, he obtained a Master of Laws certificate in International Environmental Law from the American University, Washington, D.C., USA, on Fulbright scholarship. He became a consummate German lawyer specialized in international environmental law. He joined the German Foreign Service in 1995, worked in its headquarters in Bonn and Berlin, and subsequently abroad in Pretoria, South Africa, in New Delhi, India, in Seoul, South Korea, and in Hanoi, Vietnam. His last 4 positions before assuming the Consul General of the German Embassy in Lagos, Weert, between 2019 and 2022, he was the Deputy Head of Mission and Head of Economic Sanction, German Embassy in Hanoi. Between 2016 and 2019, he was the Deputy Head of Mission and Head of Economic Sanction, German Embassy in Seoul, South Korea. And between 2013 and 2016, he was the head of division for German personnel in international organizations in Foreign Office in Berlin. Between 2011 and 2013, he was the deputy head of division for climate and environmental foreign policy, the Foreign Office in Berlin. Now, this is just a sketch of the detailed resume of this outstanding scholar. So, Your Excellency, represented by our erudite SSG, our Vice Chancellor, distinguished academics here present, ladies and gentlemen, please, with a loud applause, I want you to welcome to the podium this distinguished environmental lawyer, International German Federal Armed Forces Reserve Officer, who is the guest lecturer of today, Mr. Weert.
Good morning to all of you, and thank you very much for the very warm and friendly welcome. Thank you. Honorable SSG Professor Onah, I tend to call you not SSG but CSG, Coordinating Secretary General of Enugu State Government. Thanks a lot for your warm welcome early yesterday morning at the airport already, and for accompanying me to this special lecture at ESUT. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Okoli, Honorable Chairman of the Planning Committee, Professor Oji, dear faculty, dear management of the university, and of course, dear students, I'm happy to see also many young faces in this quite fully filled auditorium. To the young generation, I'm sure you are already aware, those issues, those problems, my generation doesn't solve, you have to solve. So please pay attention to what kind of experience I can tell you on the global energy transition. So you may have heard already from the CV that was kindly introduced that I've been working on issues of both climate protection and the global energy transition for many years meanwhile, from different angles, different countries, etc. So therefore I feel kind of competent for almost 2 years. So I'm fully aware of the different point of view when we talk about energy. You know, in Lagos, many Nigerians tell me, yes, we are full of energy, but we don't have energy. You know, there's not much coming out of the grid. So when I tell them something about the energy transition, well, which transition? Because there is no energy yet. So I understand this background that is, of course, much different from Europe, but I will refer to this. And then also because in your welcoming remarks, Siemens was already mentioned, and Siemens Energy is indeed the biggest German private company handling energy issues. I can assure you that they have been involved. Actually, yesterday we had a full day here in Enugu City, not just me from the Consulate General in Lagos, but I brought with me 4 delegates representing German institutions, and one was the managing director of Siemens Energy Nigeria and Ghana, who happens to be a Nigerian, Mr. Sheun Suleiman. So he was directly involved in our conversations, and he had a special meeting yesterday in the evening, a long meeting with the head of your regulatory electricity authority, and they are already planning the next steps. So there is something going on, and it's moving forward. Thank you. And I also included in my delegation 2 ladies from GIZ, our cooperation agency. They have big offices in Nigeria, and they also want to concentrate more on Enugu State. Some projects are already on its way. And the final 5th delegate was the deputy head of our Chamber's office in Lagos, the German Chamber of Commerce and Industry. They also have an office in Lagos. So we tried really to connect the government and the business side. And one remark on the qualities of presenting. I have to say Enugu State is really producing the best banners. Not only this one, but also we had a chamber meeting with more than 50 entrepreneurs from Enugu State yesterday in the early afternoon. And they also produced a wonderful banner, so thanks a lot for that. Now, as I want to talk about the global energy transition, I leave all the climate issues aside, so to say. I'm assuming that you're all aware of global warming, what's happening with the so-called climate crisis. And the reason why the energy transition, in whatever country we're talking about, is so important is that the energy sector is the single greatest sector by far to produce greenhouse gas emissions, which are the cause of the problem in the atmosphere and global warming. And on average, on world average, the energy sector as such is producing 60% of greenhouse gas emissions. That's already just one sector more than half. So actually the statistics for Nigeria are about the same. Yeah? It's the average 60% also in Nigeria. So it's really an issue, this energy transition, we all have to pay attention to, whether politicians, whether business, whether scientists. And I also want to remark that you do not, nowadays, in 2024, you do not have to be an environmentalist to agree that renewables are a sincere option. Because meanwhile, renewable energies around the world, be it solar, be it wind, be it biomass, or also hydropower, all these renewable energies, meanwhile, are a business model. They are competitive also in pricing. So it's really an issue we have to have a closer look to. And now, in my lecture, I would like to find answers to 3 questions. The first question I want to answer is, why is Germany an important case study? The second question is, why should Nigeria also focus on the buildup of renewable energies? And the third is, how are Germany and Nigeria cooperating in this field? Now, I have also prepared a few slides which I cannot show here, but I will send them to your university later, so that you all, it's produced by my headquarters together with me, but it's open source, yeah? I mean, you can all use it freely. There's no secret behind, although I think it's very interesting statistics and graphics. But I will speak about them, so don't worry, you won't miss the content. Now, my first little part of the lecture is, it's Germany's journey in its energy transition. So, Germany got serious about its own energy transition away from fossil energy sources to renewable energy sources around the year 2000. So we are talking about kind of one generation already that has been a long and complicated process. And because Germany was one of the first countries in the world to start this process, of course there was a lot of trial and error, a lot of mistakes. You don't have to repeat. And one good news I can tell you from the very beginning, actually 2 good news. One is the prices per unit to produce renewables, especially from solar and wind, have been going down since 2000 in manifold terms. Yeah? So when you want to invest today, whether in Nigeria or any other country, in solar modules or in wind turbines, you have to pay much less than in the 2000s, yeah? Because of the world development in these areas, the prices per unit have gone down drastically. And the second good news is that I think is also important for Nigeria. One thing, even the smartest brains in Germany, when they planned this energy transition, both in government and science and the business sector, didn't think through was that renewables in general, whether it's wind, solar, biomass or hydro, they lead to decentralization, a very effective job-creating decentralization of your energy sector. Just to give you the German example, for about 100 years of our industrial development, that is from 1890 to about 1990, for 100 years, all of our industrial production and the energy sector was relying on about 300 big utilities, you know, power plants with coal or gas or nuclear. 300 big utilities producing electricity. If you look at the picture today, after almost one generation of energy transition, it's not 300, it's 2 million plus energy producers. Because renewables, by their own dynamics, they decentralize. Yeah, not only from federal to state level, like you have the chance now in Nigeria with the Electricity Act that offers states to do their own energy system, build it up on their own. But because, to take the German example, every farmer who has some extra land and puts up 5 wind turbines to produce some megawatt of wind energy, feeding into the grid because he himself or she doesn't need it, it's a producer, right? And also the consumer in job creation, etc. So to give you this example already now, later you may become tired, it's even if Germany takes all the jobs, you may know in history, like Enugu, we had a strong coal sector. Yeah, we even had our own black coal, we had lignite, both, you know, what we call black coal and brown coal. We had both the only resources by nature in Germany for producing energy in the past was coal. We imported gas a lot, we're still importing, not from Russia anymore, but from other countries. So we have all this experience of coal, gas, and nuclear. But even on the highest level of those fossil and nuclear sources, the number of jobs created was much less than today and during the last 10 years through the buildup of renewables. In Germany, mainly wind. Rank 1 is wind, rank 2 is solar, rank 3 biomass, rank 4 hydro. Yeah, but that depends also on geography. So I'm sure Nigeria will have more chances in solar than in wind. In Germany, it's the opposite. So these are some good news that are, I think, also important for Nigeria. But let me now talk a bit more about the special German case. Why is it such an important case study? Well, reason number one is Germany is still the 4th largest economy on this planet. So it's a big old industrialized economy, and if you take the so-called G7 nations, Germany meanwhile reached the highest share of renewables in its electricity system, but also in primary energy production. So Germany is the case study where you have a highly industrialized manufacturing country, where originally even some supporters of renewables said, no, you will never be able, you know, I remember the discussions in Berlin around 2000, 2005 still, or even 2010, we will not be able to have our big industrialized infrastructure, our steel factories, our chemical plants, etc., run on renewables. And today we can prove it's possible. And we have more and more steel factories going to green energy sources. Even when they need 1,400 degrees of temperature, you can reduce it with new patented systems of renewable energy production. And I'm not talking yet about hydrogen, because this might be the next chapter of the global energy transition. So just producing wind. Or if you visit Germany, I hope you will do in the future, and you take a train, a fast-speed train from Berlin to Munich, for example, it's running 100% on wind energy. Yeah, there's nothing else involved. It's just an electricity track and it's wind energy. So it's 100% green. And meanwhile, the next step is even wind turbines are getting old. Yeah, so after 30 years, you may have to replace them. And also the new ones are more efficient. So we are constantly replacing. What do you do with the old ones? Is it again a chapter of industrial poisonous waste? We try to say no. There are German companies, innovative companies, who gain patents in recycling those materials. Yeah, so you have another value chain and new businesses. Just to give you one example, one medium-sized German company got the patent, innovated a recycling process for those wind turbine blades, you know, these huge blades that are somewhere in the air, but cannot be used for more than 30-35 years. We have the first old ones already, and they send them through a recycling factory, and it's getting building material, you know, they are hacksled into small pieces, and scientists found out, and engineers, it's a perfect material, for example, for road construction. So you save all the sand, which is also a commodity that gets more expensive and more rare around the world, and you use recycled material, yeah, from those wind turbine blades. So this is just one example of ongoing innovation and ongoing job creation with the renewable energy sector. Of course, we have to admit that building up renewables for not only for the energy sector, for electricity production, but also for being more and more important for the transport and the building sectors is a long story. Yeah, so I can tell you about Germany. We have strict goals. Several governments already put them up, and the recent government, the current government, even got more ambitious, a bit like Governor Peter Mbar, and set the threshold higher. You know, we want to get rid of 80% of our CO2 emissions, greenhouse gas emissions, until 2030, 35. We want to exit coal, the coal we are still using, until between 2030 and 2035. So that's an ongoing path. And there was a historic moment in our own energy transition actually in 2018. More than 190, more than half was solar energy. And then the second one was hydropower, and the third, with even also 75 gigawatt, was wind. So there are a lot of dynamics going on, and I can only urge Nigeria to get on this train and build up renewables. And you have our full support, both in the so-called German-Nigerian Energy Partnership, which officially exists between Berlin and Abuja since 2008, but it's gaining now more momentum also with the new government and with states like Enugu State, who are ambitious in that area. And just another fact I want to mention is, maybe it's a bit difficult to listen to and not see it in a graphic, but I just want to mention that wind onshore, meanwhile, is the cheapest, if you look at investment cost per unit of PV, and then it's gas and wind offshore are competing about at the same price level, around 12 euro cent in electricity per kilowatt hour. And then only comes coal. So even coal, even when you have coal, it gets more and more expensive, yeah, because you need also investment, and you are producing greenhouse gases at the same time. So there are good reasons, not when you are an environmentalist, but as a business model, to switch more and more to renewables. Now, the third question was, how are Germany and Nigeria cooperating in this field? Okay, so actually Germany, the government, and especially us, the diplomats of Germany, we started about 10 years ago to make the so-called global energy transition one of our focus areas. So we traveled around the world, especially outside of Europe, because inside of Europe, within the EU, there is already a joint electricity market. Yeah? So we don't have to convince people in Europe, but to go to other countries such as Nigeria and promote the build-up of renewables. And actually, concerning sub-Saharan Africa, I'm sorry, I have to have the right page. And in Abuja, the German government opened only 1.5 or 2 years ago a so-called hydrogen office to already start thinking about and planning the next generation also of building up renewables with hydrogen, because when you plan in a clever way, for example, all gas installations, factories, pipelines, you can use also for hydrogen. Yeah, you have to invest only once if you use the latest models, the latest technology, and later use hydrogen, green hydrogen, through all these pipelines and facilities. Whether it's for your own use or for export by shipping through to other parts, or building large pipelines like Nigeria has some plans also with other African countries, going even maybe to the Mediterranean or Europe. So there are ambitious plans in our bilateral cooperation. And let me give you one very practical example. You all know one issue in Nigeria is the grid. Yeah? Nigeria is producing around 14 gigawatt of electricity, but only 4-point-something are really reaching the end consumers. Because there's too much loss on the way, or no grid, or whatever. And Siemens Energy, in the so-called Presidential Power Initiative that was signed with the previous governments, our Federal Chancellor Angela Merkel and President Buhari, they signed the whole agreement in 2018. Unfortunately, there wasn't that much progress in the first 4 years, but now there has been some progress. So only in the first half of 2024, with a private business partner, Siemens Energy in Nigeria, we together could add 670 megawatt, which is 15% of the whole, which is in the grid, to the grid. So Federal Power Minister Adelabu he could announce in May or June that there are training, as we call it, the dual system. So you go to college, but you are directly, in parallel, 50-50 or 60-40, you are educated in private companies on the practical skills. For example, solar engineering, yeah? And who's building all those wind turbines, yeah? Who's putting them up, who's controlling the grid, how about computer science, IT, in managing the grid? Yeah? You need an online, a digital system, and maybe AI to really get it efficiently running. And just one more point on the German experience that I forgot in the beginning. Many, even within Germany, criticizing this energy transition and the many mistakes we made on the way. Their argument is business and the practical side of it. I just want to give you 3 hints. Because Germany, with other partners, of course with Nigeria, but even third countries, is co-organizing some events in the next couple of months. And 2 are in Lagos. It's the West African Clean Energy and Environment Fair. It's a fair and conference that will take place on the 8th and 9th of October 24, so in 2 months from now, in Lagos. And then only a week later, from October 15 to 17 in Lagos, there will be the Nigeria Energy Fair, which is meanwhile a growing real energy business fair. But also maybe for some interest in renewables and the energy system as such, interesting to see, because private companies, but also other institutions from Europe and other places, they present their latest innovations. And then, if you have a chance to travel to Germany and want to be part of the so-called Berlin Energy Transition Dialogue, which is meanwhile one of the biggest energy conferences, both for scientists, for politicians, for economists, and business, private companies. As I said, it's the Berlin Energy Transition Dialogue, BETD, that will happen the next time, 18th and 19th of March 2025 in Berlin. So that's half a year to get your energy going for the energy transition. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm looking forward to further cooperation. Thank you very much.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. There may be need for question and answer, or is it supposed to be? Okay. Do you prefer to be here or there for question and answer? Just 3 minutes, yeah. Just 3 minutes. Distinguished lady, you can get seated, please. Distinguished.
Because I was part of it. But none of us benefited from that. I don't know if we can revisit it for us to benefit. Again, we are talking about energy transition. That means we are moving towards energy security. Today, every country has what they describe as their own energy mix. I don't know what you are recommending for Nigeria. The nature of the energy mix will require. For example, the global energy demand in the United States and even other parts of the energy giants is between 20 and 21%, all based on coal. And today, there's none coming from coal. Our energy is dependent mostly on gas and petroleum. If we must make progress, maybe you will suggest to the country or to the state the nature of our energy mix. Then the other one is around 2002, 2003 or so, Aramco, that's one of the most important German investments in Enugu state. That was called Mercedes cars. A German government came around, they were looking for where to locate a standard high-tech laboratory. I represented this university that day, and then we went even to SETI, to IMT, because that time they were still talking of these autonomous cars. And most of our mechanics have no capacity as of then to even maintain it. So if we bring it in, how do we keep it running? And so, led by Aramco, that is Mercedes-Benz plant in Enugu, they came around, we interviewed with them. At the end, we didn't know what happened. because the plant is now right here in Enugu, and I participated. We thought it would be coming because of the presence and the importance of Enugu in German-Nigerian relationship. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. As brilliant.
We really benefit in the renewable energy so that.
Your name, please.
Okay, I'm Dr. Hamon Iwobudonzeriwe of Computer Engineering. My question in what you said, in as much as we are believing God to benefit in the renewable energy, what are the source of this hydrogen? Which is the most trending one you just mentioned? Thank you.
One more person. Your first point, I'm not fully aware of it, but maybe you can send me some information on it. My address is with the first row here, and my email address that's reaching me directly. What I can tell you, that Nigerian students are getting more and more successful in getting into our scholarship systems. So in 2023, with our DAAD, German Academic Exchange Service, Nigerian youth for the first time could be placed on rank #1 in Sub-Saharan Africa. Traditionally it was Kenya or Ghana or South Africa or any other country, but now it's the highest number, getting scholarships for both master degrees and PhD programs for Germany. So I think that's a very good news, and that's global competition, yeah? Not because it's not a gift to Nigerians, but it's global competition, and Nigeria is going through the ranks since 2010. You started very low at that time, 2010, with 200 scholarships a year, and the figure of 2023 is 1,638. So it's really a big progress. But on the second issue, energy security and the energy mix, that's a difficult one, because indeed every country in its own process has to find the right energy mix. And also when Germany started its energy transition, there was no clear picture what percentage would come up through biomass or through wind or whatever. I mean, Nigeria definitely has a very high potential for solar energy, you know. Even Germany is gaining a lot with solar energy, but we are so much in the north, the angle is not good, the sun is shining much less than in Nigeria. So solar energy is the obvious, and in investment cost, not that expensive solution for Nigeria. So I would always recommend to reach for, to be ambitious for a high share of solar, both off-grid and on-grid. Yeah? You have to develop in parallel. Wind, I know from Nigerian scientists, I know wind is more difficult because you only have some coastal regions and some northwestern so-called desert regions or semi-desert where you have enough wind for constant wind power generation. But it's a share you can build up. There is definitely biomass also an option for Nigeria because you have an agricultural sector traditionally producing also a lot of what was called waste in the past, but is resourced today. Now these are all the skins of yam and cassava and whatever. Either they still have a nutritious value for agriculture, I mean for feeding animals, or they have an energy value. And we can offer best of the art technology to produce energy out of biomass. And then of course there is a certain share in hydropower in almost every country around the world, but that's nothing you can grow up to somewhere because it's limited by nature. Yeah, so my idea would be focus on solar, biomass, some wind energy, but of course, just to be very practical in this sense, you know, every diesel generator that is being replaced in Nigeria by either a solar inverter system or something with gas is already a big progress because you're avoiding so many emissions. You know, the most expensive and the most polluting solution is definitely the diesel generator or fuel generator in general. Yeah, so for me it's kind of a parallel thinking. Yeah, how do you get rid of your, what I call generator economy? Because as far as I know from Nigerian sources, it's 4 to 5 gigawatt from the grid, I mean, whatever gas source is behind it, but it's 40-something gigawatt through separate decentralized generators, which are run on fuel basis, petrol or diesel. And that's, so to say, the one. Well, I've heard about this Mercedes-Benz story. Now, I have to make a general remark. The German government, maybe different from countries like France, is not very much directly connected to its big private industry. And you may know that our automotive companies have been criticized by government a lot, but also on the very late movement to new sources of automotive. Yeah, I mean, or hydrogen, whatever. When I was posted to South Korea, and I was the German commissioner, so-called commissioner for our team, the German team for the Winter Olympic Games 2018 in South Korea. You know what South Korea showed up for the guests? More than 70 vehicles running on hydrogen, from small car to bus. Yeah? In the cold mountains where the Winter Olympic Games took place in South Korea. So big companies like Hyundai or Kia, I mean, they are private companies, but they developed, beside the combustion engine, for many years they developed electric, hydrogen, etc. in parallel, investing a lot in research and development in parallel. And to be honest, the Germans were just sleeping. Yeah? I'm that hard on our own companies. Yeah? And suddenly, with all things coming from South Korea, Japan, and then China, they woke up, but very late. So unfortunately, there is not much mercy on Mercedes-Benz currently. So I think we have to find another plan to get them in again. And then we have the issue of hydrogen. I'm sorry, I'm really not an expert on this. I know we have a lot of research going on, and not just research, it's experimental business, yeah, where we also at the shores of our coastline, we already have installed, private companies have installed so-called hydrogen factories, where you get some green resource like liquefied natural gas or whatever, to put up the heat and pressure and so on, and then it's run through on land, it's run through installations. And as I mentioned before, when you have gas installations, and they are the latest state of the art, you can also use hydrogen through the same installations and pipelines. So that's a very effective measure. We are still in the trial and error phase, but it will be built up. I recommend to reach out to our hydrogen office in Abuja, because I mean they are in Nigeria, also connected to our other energy experts at GIZ in Abuja. Their headquarters are in Abuja for the energy sector, and really reach out to them, because they are connected. I mean, they can immediately give you a lot more information than I can do on the hydrogen sector, which is the idea for the next 2 decades, but also connect you to German universities that are doing all the research on this. And so I really recommend to approach this hydrogen office in Abuja. If you don't find them by yourself, I will put the contact forward to Enugu State Government and your university Vice Chancellor. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much
for this refreshing lecture, and for having our special guests here, and for getting the Enugu State Government to equally come in to do the oversight they are always doing. And let me seize the medium to thank all our guests. The Chancellor is here, close sitting. Remember what we started discussing. We want to make tertiary institutions in Enugu State, grow them into a well, so that we can always be interfacing on a number of issues. Our former SSG is here. I hope they recognize you, because when the SSG leaves now, we'll be in trouble with you. You start saying we didn't appreciate you. We welcome everybody. The government team, they're always there for us. Just bear in mind that we always respond positively and promptly to any directive coming from your end. I've received the letter given to me today, even though I replied yesterday on the energy, and we are going to comply accordingly. My great deans, my great directors, the HODs, great professors, our staff, our students. We appreciate all of you, the organizers. And we can't thank our SSG enough. One thing we are reaping from him is a pure academic. He's a scholar. He's a scholar. Recall that what you are now doing in ESUT is to distill salary earning professors and professing professors. And that is why everybody now wants to be professing professors. The inaugural lecture is now constant. We're going to have the one for this month. We must continue to have it. Anybody that is brandishing any promotion letter as a professor, you have not done an inaugural lecture, you have not started as an academic. So we are going to insist on it. Remember, we started last year. If you don't belong to a professional association, no promotion for you. You must belong. We must think academics. We must think about partnership. We must think about collaboration. Our His Excellency has spoken. You have center in Enugu for German language, but we're expecting, like our professor said, in ESUT, we are prepared to start that as a course, German language. We are prepared to do it in foreign languages. We're equally prepared to explore all the opportunities you outline in DAAD. We shall always collaborate. We shall always be linking up with your offices. Those of you that want to go to Germany for productive things, you have opportunity. We are prepared to send our engineers, our technical officers for training and retraining, so that at least when we come back here, Enugu State government will not be wasting resources outside the framework of the teachers here. We should be driving the process of change. You know, just like you are building roads. We have highly competent engineers, architects. They are all here, quantity surveyors. When they give contract to people, they now come here, collect them as consultants. They will be doing it for them. We want to equally now establish a vehicle that can be bidding for this contract so that they have an address. Once we perform poorly, the SSG will know who to arrest, since they are the staff of the states. So we assure you, you are in a good place, in a good state. Like I mentioned, the important thing is about trust. We are lucky to have His Excellency, who is an embodiment of that trust and ingenuity. I think even the ardent critics are worried. What they are worried about is no longer the proliferation of projects, productive projects. What they are worried about is where the resources are coming from. But one thing good about human being is that we must be worried about something. So the worry now is that there are too many at the same time. It's a worry. We are not worried because we are seeing him every day, walking speedily like SSG. If you come to work 6 a.m., he's already moving to the office. And the staff were telling me that every day 6:30 they have left their homes. He has activated everywhere to function, and this will not be an exception. So feel free to come back again. We are hoping to share some of the innovations we already have here. During the forthcoming convocation, we hope to have our business fair in a day there. We hope to invite your team, the business community, come and see what we have. You will be amazed that we have a lot of things that are already locked up in closets. We are going to open it to the outside world to see, and we can then process further from there. Thank you for coming, and may God bless you and lead you back safely.
Yeah, thank you very much to you, Honorable Vice Chancellor, and to all of you for spending your time with me this morning, and thank you for your engagement. I'm looking forward to a bright future cooperation, and as a little thank you, it's a political booklet, but don't worry. And this is a little thank you bag for your team. Thank you very much.
Would have been the correct vernacular English language, would have been we retaliate. So we shall get back to you. Maybe if you have opportunity of stepping into the office, if there is time, SSG. If there is no time, we shall get across to you. The important thing is that these enthusiastic faces you have seen today, they will remain enthusiastic, waiting for that collaboration to get to its maturity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
For the German Consul to be with us. We thank you for the Enugu State government, and we thank you, oh God, for ESUT management. The purpose for the partnership will be accomplished in no distant time in the name of Jesus Christ. Thank you because we will continue to represent you and represent the Enugu State government. Father, the world shall hear it, and the education community, the university global community will yet hear of be exalted. For in Jesus' name we have prayed. Father, lead us to our different destinations and let your name be highly exalted. For in Jesus' name.
The German Consul General, the pragmatic vice chancellor of ESUT,
and then of course the Vice Chancellor of Croatia, the German Ambassador for oh, VC guy you mentioned already. The book is it's not listed. Yes. And I'm able to do that. Sorry. Come down. Please. Thank you for joining us.
In building up renewable energy sources, mainly solar, but also wind, biomass, hydropower. And the other one is to improve the grid system, the grid for electricity in Nigeria. And a new third color for the future is to cooperate on building up hydrogen, green hydrogen, as a source of energy for Nigeria and these are the main factors.
What do you do for Nigeria in this quest for energy transition?
Well, I think the focus kind of should be that, as I explained in my lecture, Nigeria, as it's partly already doing, should concentrate on a rather fast and engaged build-up of renewables, mainly solar energy, both on-grid, off-grid solutions, because meanwhile it's in the long run the cheapest investment you can have. It's a business case, not just an environmental case. And the other aspect is that, of course, something like gas, I mean, where Nigeria has its own resources, should also be more systematically used to replace actually the largest source of electricity currently in Nigeria, which is generators, decentralized generators, big ones, small ones, running on petrol or diesel, which is the worst solution both in business terms as well as in environmental terms. It's the major polluting source. So already switching to gas, but especially switching to renewables is a big progress, both for the environment and for the business model.
You also recommended the use of AI in grid management. Would you just throw more light on that?
Yes, definitely. When you want to have a stable grid management, you have to try to digitalize the whole system, but also use AI, where also Germany is still in the course of learning how to best use it. So it's an ongoing process.
All right, thank you so much for your time. On renewable energy. to solve our problem?
So first and foremost, the Enugu state government does not have oversight of the grid process. It's the transmission company of Nigeria. And the transmission company of Nigeria allocates energy to different distribution companies based on an agreed framework. What Enugu state government is trying to do is, through the policy direction His Excellency has gone through and the electricity law, Enugu state electricity law, is to open up an electricity market that harnesses opportunities for investors to come in and set up generation companies in Enugu. In that way, we now have captive generation framework, IPPs that can service our people and provide the necessary energy. Once the matter goes to the grid, we lose control of what happens because it's a national process. So we're trying to make sure that we meet our energy need. We did a preliminary energy audit and we have a projection that we're looking towards 700 megawatts. And current share of Enugu state distribution, company is less than 100 megawatts for the whole southeast. So that will tell you what portion comes to Enugu. That will not meet our special agro-processing zone outlook, our industrial clusters. That will not meet other initiatives His Excellency is pushing. So this partnership within the German government and us helps us both with technical capacity for our new Electricity Regulatory Commission and other aspects of our outlook towards building our economy from 4.4 billion to 30 billion. So it's an ecosystem of activities. It's not just one. So this partnership is based on making sure that we increase our energy mix, our economic activities in Enugu State.
Yes, the German Consul has recommended the solar and the biomass energy as a source of as alternative to the conventional energy source in Nigeria.
Yes.
How would the state government leverage on that to address the energy crisis here?
So we're doing that already. So the governor has promised that he was going to increase our internet penetration. So our tier 4 energy, our tier 4 internet process requires a huge consumption of energy. One of the energy sources we want to address that is solar, and you do know that this requires a lot of land. So in that particular, all our locations ensures that we include energy sources that are clean in them. Oji River, we're also trying to resuscitate Oji River power plant, and there we want to use two options. We're going to use thermal, the gas, CNG mostly, and we're going to use also solar power plant for our renewable. So this is something that is in our mind. We also understand that government is not in the business of the private sector. We provide the enabling environment, and the private sector will come in once the enabling environment is there and the demand is there, and we already know that there's demand for it. And most of the work we're doing on making Enugu State ease of business one that is competitive, to make Enugu one of the 3 business focused areas in Nigeria. One of the things we're doing is to make sure that everything that has with the SABA regulations, where businesses can come from land administration to even getting the basic approvals, is done in such a way that is seamless to attract those people. So we know what is needed, but we want to make sure that people don't feel like they are at risk bringing investment to Enugu State.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
For the champions, stand up, stand up, stand up. For the champions, stand up.